what was the craziest interview you had? Like an interview that you were just like, whoa, like
the craziest interview. I mean, certain like platforms are looking for their guests to while out, to storm out of their interviews, to, you know, argue and yell with the interviewer and stuff like that, because it creates, you know, ratings, a buzz, viral moments, and so forth. If I ever have a situation with someone that they start to feel uncomfortable, they start to argue with me, they start to get angry, or maybe want to walk out or whatever else, I'll try to, you know, pacify that situation, and I'll try to, you know, make sure that that doesn't happen, and we'll cut out that footage, because I'm not going for that. I'm not trying to have that be my platform. Like, you know, people that sit down with me aren't getting paid. They're taking time out of their day to sit down and share their story on my platform, you know, and showing me respect, and I try to show them the same level of respect back. So, you know, there's been a few moments here and there. Like at one point when I interviewed Tretch and we started getting kind of deep into the Tupac story, he was like, you know, he just basically just said, fuck this. And, you know, he got up and kind of started to just walk out. You know what I mean? And we kept that in the footage, but it wasn't like flip the chair over or whatever else. It was like, you know, talking about Tupac's murder, he just started to get too emotional about it and just was like, I can't talk about this anymore. You know, but it wasn't anything like you see some of these clips where people just, you know, like a Kodak Black on Ebro, where he's just like, oh, y'all ask me these fucked up questions, blah, blah, blah. Like, I just don't do that. It's not my platform.
So that's never happened. Like nobody, it is.
If it did happen, I'm not going to talk about it. You see what I'm saying? Because it never came out. And that footage got buried. But it was never like anything like stupid and crazy. And if it was, I disassociated myself with it. It's not something that I'm trying to stand behind. You know?
That's the so let me see. How do you feel about people saying that you're a culture vulture? First of all, what is a culture vulture to you?
I don't know. You know, like when I really think about it, I kind of equate it to like the word honky. You know what I'm saying? Kind of like, all right, well, here's a white dude, you know, in hip hop. So, you know, he must be a culture vulture. You know, my good friend Lord Jamar, you know, he considers pretty much anyone white in hip hop a culture vulture, including Eminem and Steve Rifkin and stuff like that. People who had a significant contribution to hip hop. So, you know, I remember Jamar asked me when I was on Jamar's platform, he asked, you know, would I consider myself a culture vulture? And I said, yeah, to certain people, they would look at me as a culture vulture. And under certain definitions, like, yeah, you could say that that's me, because I'm not black. You know, I'm not a rapper. I'm someone that's coming, you know, someone who loved the culture, but not, you know, a rapper in the culture, coming in, making money off hip hop and so forth. But
so that's your definition. I mean,
that's my definition of it. Yeah, I mean, someone, you know, and it's. There's no real like official definition of it, you know. Someone, you know, a vulture who feeds off of a dead carcass and doesn't leave anything there.
So all right, so
you know, I personally feel like I give back significantly.
All right. So that's my question. That's my next question, right? A culture vulture to me is somebody who takes from, you know, somebody that's not of the culture, right? Somebody that comes from somewhere else and gets a part of the culture and finds a way to benefit, to feed off of the culture without replenishing the culture.
Yeah.
Right. Without putting back into the culture, right?
Yeah.
So my next question is, do you feel that you give back to the culture? And if you do, how?
I mean, you could name a lot of rappers who have careers to this day because of Vlad TV interviews. And I'm not going to name any names because I don't ultimately it was their own talent that continued to propel them, and I'm not the one that wants to take the credit for it. But you could look at where they were before a Vlad TV interview and look at where they are after a Vlad TV interview, and you will see a very big difference in terms of their popularity, their income, their overall impact in terms of what they do, and the stories that we put out into the world. We interview people because of my age. I've been around really from the very beginning of hip hop. Like hip hop was created the year I was born, so I was there through all the old school artists in terms of experiencing it. Saying that, with my history, I'm really the only one that could interview someone like let me try to think what's like a new artist, like a Lil Baby.
You interviewed him?
Yeah, or a Cardi B, who we've interviewed a couple times. We could interview someone like that, but I also interview Curtis Blow.
Yeah,
and Spice One, and I'm trying, Grandmaster Caz, who's technically considered the first rapper, and people like that, and really, bring these stories to light that no one else has brought to light. Like, you don't see these people on Hot 97 or Big Boy's Neighborhood or whatever else, like the other, other known hip hop platforms, because commercially it may not do what they're trying to do, and they have a big corporation behind them, and there's a lot of money behind it. But with me, I own my own shit, so it's really whoever I want to talk to, I'm just going to talk to. And if I was a fan of Curtis Blow, I don't give a fuck if he's 60 years old. Like, let's get that story out there. You see what I'm saying? And no one else has this breadth of content that I do. No,
you're right, because I see you interview people, and really nobody interviews them, right? Mm-hmm. So like, I get it. Now that you say it, I understand, right? My question is, I'm gonna get back over here, but you said Cardi B, right? Mm-hmm. When you interviewed Cardi B, did you know she would be as big as she is now?
No.
You had no clue?
No.
Why did you interview her?
Well, because she was buzzing. Mm-hmm. Her social media was already popping, but we interviewed right before Bodak Yellow. And even Bodak Yellow wasn't an obvious hit. It just kind of came together. You see what I'm saying? Like the stars just sort of aligned for that one song, because that beat sounds like a lot of other beats. Yeah. And her flow sounded like other female flows and stuff like that, but just that song hit, and then she just ended up taking off from that. But yeah, no, I didn't know, but she had a buzz. She was, a serious rapper. She was already signed to Atlantic Records. I think she was on Love and Hip Hop already.
She was on Love and Hip Hop already?
I think so. Because we interviewed her twice. One of which I didn't do the interview. The second of which I did the interview myself. But no, I had no idea. I mean, I was happy. I was really happy when she blew up. But yeah, no, I had no idea. A lot of times you don't have. Well, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. Like when I interviewed the Baby, like I thought he was really dope. And right after our interview, he got signed to Interscope Records. Not because of our interview, because the interview hadn't even come out yet. But like I thought he was really dope. So when he got signed, I wasn't surprised at all. But yeah, I don't always call it.
How do you find these people?
It's a process. We have weekly meetings where we look at who's out there and who's buzzing, and which who's starting to really kind of pick up steam and everything else like that. And I have a whole staff of people, so me and my assistant and some of the other people will kind of bring up certain people. We'll look at their overall story and their overall body of work and say, okay, I think that something like this will work. Sometimes we have people approach us. People approach us literally every day. And we look at them individually and say, okay, this person is going to react, this person won't. And a lot of people, especially, 2019, we have a big focus on our repeat guests. So, you being one of them, Lord Jamar, Trey D, Godfrey, Nick Cannon, D.L. Hughley, Boosie. These are all people that we fucked with before that have had huge reactions. So we just started, so we scheduled them through the course of the, we have kind of like a schedule at the beginning of the year saying, okay, this person's going to come in once a month. This person's going to come in once every 3 months. This person's going to come once every 6 months. Like Lunel is something we're probably going to do like once every 6 months. And sometimes it's just out of the blue. You'll just run into somebody, like I ran into Malik Yoba last night at a party, and he's like, oh, Vlad TV. Yeah, let's, and then we'll start the process of trying to book him, and maybe we'll book him, maybe we won't. Or maybe 3 years down the line we'll book them. Like, you never know. Yeah. Yeah. So it's all over the place.
So, all right. Do you feel like your interviews, your content, does anything for the community that like, like the hip hop community, but I'm talking about just the community though, not even just hip hop, but like the neighborhoods? And do you ever do anything like that to kind of, put anything back to the neighborhoods that kind of hip hop is really like, coming from and all that?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at any interview that I've ever done, whether it's like a little baby talking about the prison time that he did, or a Big U talking about the whole Rolling 60s thing, or a Freeway Ricky Ross, who was the biggest drug dealer on the West Coast, there's never a glorification of it. It was always like, okay, if you do this, this is all the bad shit that's going to come with it. This is going to be, prison time is almost going to be assured. You're going to lose your, so you're going to lose your freedom. You're going to lose your friends in the process. You might get shot or stabbed in the process. And, like ultimately all of these interviews end with, here's a message to everyone who thinks they want to do this. Here's someone who's actually done it. Like Lil D from Oakland, who was the crack king of Oakland by 20 years old and did 28 years, was like, any young person that looks up to me is a damn fool, because I balled out for a couple of years and then lost. I've been in prison longer than I've been out of prison. Like, everyone wants to, you listen to a Future record and say, yeah, I want to be a kingpin. I want to be a drug dealer. I want to take drugs. I want to do this. Like, I'm very anti-drug. You know what I mean? Like, if someone comes in and starts talking about they drink lean, I'll talk about how it's liquid heroin. I'll talk about I talk about how I hung out with Pimp C a week before he died from a lean overdose. I'll talk about all the fucked up shit that comes along with it. And, it may not reach that person that I'm talking to, but a person is going to watch this and say, yeah, this is not something I want to do. You see what I'm saying?
Nothing.
We don't try to promote negative behavior in the process. You see what I'm saying? Like, if you actually watch the interviews, it's very consistently that. As an adult, I'm not trying to lead people down a fucked up path. And that's what I feel is the contribution.
Understood. Do you feel like okay? So I looked at something. I saw something, and it made me want to ask: do you feel sometimes you're insensitive to certain things? Like, when you ask certain things, do you feel like you could be insensitive? And I asked that because I saw something about Eazy E's daughter, and how you what was that situation?
The situation was this. Eazy E is so instrumental to sort of my hip hop journey, because at one point I stopped listening to hip hop for a couple of years because I got into a bunch of trouble in my junior high, and my parents put me in a private school where no one listened to hip hop at all. And then when I went back to public school a couple of years later, and I wasn't listening to a lot of hip hop. Someone played me Eazy E, and I'm like, this is the greatest shit ever. NWA is my favorite group in hip hop ever.
So hold on, what about Eazy E's music made you feel like, whoa?
It was just a combination. The Dr. Dre production, the rawness of the lyrics, the voice, the delivery, the slang that being, I'm from the Bay, and these guys were from LA, and it just, I always felt like the best hip hop puts you in the region where that artist comes from. You know what I mean? Like, this is part of the reason why I've never been a fan of Iggy Azalea, because I really don't know what it's like. When I listen to her music, I don't know what Australia is like, because she doesn't rap like in an Australian accent or talk about Australia. Like, to me, it's kind of a fabrication. But like with NWA, it really put me right there. So saying that Eazy E is so important to me, and I interviewed his son, Lil Eazy, and I remember when the NWA movie came out, we interviewed everyone, as many people as I can grab around that story, from DOC to DJ Yella to Arabian Prince to Michelle A to, just tons and tons of people. So I just kind of want to lay that out. When Eazy E, and a lot of people aren't old enough to remember this, but I remember when Eazy E, announced to the world through his lawyer that he had AIDS, and he died of AIDS. He ended up dying from AIDS like 2 weeks later, and that affected me. It was like, like, this AIDS shit is real. Like, one of my heroes just died from AIDS as a seemingly heterosexual man. Like, this could happen to me. And he had a message about it, like, about, his last words were like, I want people to learn from this, and because my homeboys should know that this shit is real and it doesn't discriminate. It's not just about gay people. It's, here I am as a straight man catching it, and the Magic Johnson thing came later. So what had happened was, I randomly was just searching around the internet, and I came up with his, I found a photo of his obituary. So I posted it on my Instagram, and
what time? Why did you post that? What?
Just because I, as a fan, I just, Vlad TV covers all the news, but then there's also throwback pictures that I put up. Like, I just found a picture of Jay-Z from 1989 that I'd never seen before, so I just posted that up. So I throw that stuff in. So in that case, I threw up the obituary, and I did the rest in peace Eazy E, and then I went into a caption about how AIDS is real and it affects everybody, and there are things that you could do to prevent it, which is getting tested, which a lot of people don't do. I talked about, there's a product called OraQuick, which is a home HIV test that you could get at any pharmacy. So you and your partner could sit there and test each other for HIV before you guys have unprotected sex. There's also a pill called Truvada, which is like 99% effective in preventing HIV, which people don't know about. Like, nobody knows about this. So I used that obituary to kind of tell a story about AIDS awareness. And because of that, Eazy E's youngest daughter had a whole backlash, just did a whole video about being saying that, my father didn't die of AIDS, he was murdered, it was, it's a conspiracy, like, you shouldn't, use him as the face of AIDS, because whatever. And, and people kind of go, and then the, that got picked up in a lot of places, and there was a whole kind of feedback of, you shouldn't say that because it's insensitive to the family, right?
Do you feel that you were insensitive to the family?
Every single person that we report on in a negative manner has a family. You have a family. You know what I mean? Like if you get shot and I report on it, it's insensitive to your family. Our job is to report. So unfortunately, I cannot think of every family member in the process of doing my job, because almost every person on this earth has family or close friends or whatever else. So in the process of doing my job, I am going to upset certain family members, but I can't help that. It's my job.
Has there ever been a time where you was like, okay, this is my job and this would be good for my job, but I don't want to do it. I'm not going to do it because, or maybe you were so like, torn because you just, it was going to be very insensitive. Has that ever happened?
Not so much.
Not so much.
Not so much. I feel that what I do has a bigger purpose. You see what I'm saying? Like, feelings will come and go, but what I'm doing during the short time that I have on this earth is going to live on for hundreds, if not thousands of years. You see what I'm saying?
I get it. So to piggyback off of that, so you're just not in the business to capitalize and make money. You're also trying to make some type of change. Or do you have like a bigger purpose?
Yeah, like I'm documenting a piece of culture, which at this point is the most hip hop culture is the most dominant, kind of culture in the world. Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, I interviewed Oxymoron, who's the biggest rapper in Russia.
Shout out Oxymoron, man.
Yeah, and it's like it's mind-blowing to me that hip-hop is the biggest genre in Russia. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Like, you go to Korea, hip-hop is huge in Korea. In China, I interviewed like Chris Wu, from China, and hip-hop is becoming the biggest genre in China and so forth. Like, I am documenting hip-hop culture from the years that I'm able to do it, and that is not something that could be repeated, because these people who I'm documenting will be gone at one point. And I think about that as I'm doing it. Like, I'm recording history and I'm letting people tell their story, and these are important people. These are people, that are going to leave a mark, for generations to come. People are going to come back and circle back and watch these stories, and they're going to be affected. So that to me is my main goal. And if some feelings get hurt along the way, and if some people are mad at me or whatever else along the way, it's not really part of my decision-making process. I could take it. I don't worry about internet bullying or real life bullying or whatever else. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to accomplish something bigger. And along the way, things are going to happen. And that's fine. I accept it. But when it's all said and done, I think that I already have like something like 10 or 15,000 videos on my channel, which are never going to go anywhere. By the time I'm gone, I'm hoping that number will be up to 100,000 or 200,000 or whatever else. Like this is a huge library that I'm leaving behind that is going to really change people's lives, because when I meet people, they tell me about how their lives got changed by a certain interview or a certain something. I'm sure, like, when you've been on Vlad TV, people are like, yo, when you said that, I really felt that. And you know what I mean? And so forth. Like, that's what I'm here for. And if people get upset along the way, people are just going to get upset along the way. I'm not here to worry about them, because I have a higher reason for what I'm doing.